For Whom the Bell Tolls is one of the best Metallica classics of all time. It is considered to be the first Metallica mid-tempo song in their history. It's one of their most frequently played songs live. And the second most played song on Ride the Lightning after Creeping Death. Today, we are digging deep into the classic tune, and we will be trying to break it down. So welcome friends to yet another episode of Why They Don't Suck. First of all, the iconic sound we hear in the intro of the song, the bell. It's just an epic sound that sets you up for an epic song. But actually, this is not a bell. According to the producer, Flemming Rasmussen, this sound is actually Lars hitting an anvil with a metal hammer. So every time you hear the song, you should imagine Lars in the studio banging an anvil with a hammer. And also a little Easter egg for you. While I was working on the Unforgiven analysis, I noticed that the bell, the exact same bell from Bell Tolls, appears on the vocal track of the Unforgiven.
Never free, never me, so I dubbed the Unforgiven.
Maybe Metallica put that deliberately as a fun Easter egg, but who knows. Then we get to the amazing riff. And of course, I should not mention that it's actually played on bass, not guitar. You must know it. And still people play that riff on guitar. Please don't do that. You'll be cursed if you play the Bell Tolls intro riff on guitar. Despite appearing on the second Metallica album, the riff's origin appears way before Cliff joined Metallica. We see footage of him playing that riff in 1979 when Cliff was playing with Agents of Misfortune. And it sounded quite different than the version we hear on Ride the Lightning. It sounded more classical or kinda weird than the polished heavy metal version we hear on the song. Then we transition into what I like to call the monster riff, which is one of the most sinister, heavy, creepy, and groovy Metallica riffs I've ever heard, honestly. And what I like about this part of the song is that how before the riff is played on guitar, we get kind of a sneak peek of the riff, but on the bass. Kind of a build-up maybe to the amazing riff. Then we get to the lead part that Kirk does. It is super groovy and it is super catchy. But there is some speculation on whether the guitar part is 100% original by Metallica, cause it sounds suspiciously close to Fairies Wear Boots by Black Sabbath. So did Metallica actually rip off Black Sabbath? Well, I would not call it a direct plagiarism because the riffs do sound a bit different than each other. I would label it as an inspiration because that's Metallica in 1984. They had direct role models by then, and Sabbath being one of them. So yeah, they sound different yet similar. Like I can see the connection, but to my ears, something is a bit different, you know? The lyrics of For Whom the Bell Tolls are based on a novel by the same name written by Ernest Hemingway. One breakdown of the lyrics that I read on the internet really caught my attention, that the lyrics are based on a particular part of the novel where a leader and his 4 men are in the Spanish Civil War and are outnumbered by the enemies. So they get up on a hill in a pathetic scheme to survive, but end up getting killed by the enemies. This explanation sort of explains a lot of the lyrics to me. They are fighting on a hill and are so terrified by how the fight and the war is turning against them. As in, make us fight on the hill in the early day, constant chill deep inside. The lyrics also explain perfectly that we do not know who are the good guys and who are the bad guys in a war. Everyone thinks they are the good guys and everyone thinks the other side are the bad guys. So who is to decide that in a war? As in, on they fight for the right, yes, but who's to say? The leader and his 4 men, so a total of 5 men, are still trying to survive in that madness of a war, and their head is going crazy and insane from all the pains and craziness of the war. As in, men of 5 still alive through the raging glow, gone insane from the pain that they surely know. You should also glance one more time at the beautiful skies, since it's your last chance. You are certainly going to die in that war. As in, take a look to the skies just before you die. It's the last time you will. The person cannot believe what he's seeing, all the slaughtering and cruelty. And the song puts that in a metaphor that his eyes are strangers to the sight he's witnessing. As in, stranger now are his eyes to this mystery, here's the silence so loud. For Whom the Bell Tolls does have one more pretty funny Easter egg that we all get to know thanks to the isolated tracks. There is an F-bomb in the chorus.
For whom the bell tolls. Fuck.
Well, who is that? Is that Cliff or is that James? People are pretty excited about this Easter egg because they think it's Cliff, but it's most likely to be James's job, honestly. But yeah, it could be Cliff because this sort of deep voice cannot be mistaken. But to be honest, no, I think it's just James with a lower voice. One of the best things about For Whom the Bell Tolls is its very unique composition that stands out in Metallica's discography. While a lot of Metallica songs have intro, main riff, verse, then chorus, Bell Tolls has such an unusual structure that kinda goes in a straight line. It just keeps going and not a single part of these is repeated somewhere else in the composition. We get from bass riff to monster riff to the lead part that Kirk does. And after all of these amazing instrumental parts, then we get to the verse chorus thing. So James does not open his mouth until 2 minutes and 6 seconds in the song. All of that time we get an incredible epic section where it just goes from one badass part to another. And then the verse chorus type of stuff is sort of near the outro of the song. And of course, For Whom the Bell Tolls is a unique song because it was the first sort of slow, heavy song in Metallica's discography at the time. So Bell Tolls is kind of a grandfather to The Thing That Should Not Be, Harvester of Sorrow, and all of these slow, crunchy tracks. We have a little harmony section after the first chorus, which not only is incredibly catchy, it also locks in with all the other guitar parts perfectly. And funny thing about this harmony, James was the one who wrote it. And in the process of writing it, Cliff flew back to America because the studio was in Denmark. James was so frustrated because he really was not that confident with harmonization back then, and really wished Cliff was there to help him out because Cliff was a master at harmonization and he would get the job done quickly. James eventually did it, and maybe that song was the starting point to James for mastering harmonization, yeah?
And so there was a point during Ride the Lightning that Cliff left to go back home, and we're all so jealous. So there was a time during the Ride the Lightning sessions where it was just James, Lars, and myself. And I remember James wanted to work out. It's not really a harmony. It's like a alternate part in For Whom the Bell Tolls. And it's kind of based on harmonies. And I remember him and I trying to work it out, and we fucking couldn't work it out. And him just like being frustrated and going, fuck, I wish Cliff was here. But it took a few days, but eventually he worked it out.
Another awesome thing about Bell Tolls are the vocals. James did an incredible job there, considering that the guitar part, or the verse riff if you want to call it, was very simple. It didn't have a melody that James could follow with the vocals. So he came up with an entirely unique vocal melody that proved how amazingly James utilizes the voice as another instrument.
Make us fight on the hill in the early day. Constant chill deep inside. Shouting gun on they run through the endless gray. On they fight for the right, yes, but who's to say? For a hill men would kill, why they do not know. Stiffened wounds test their pride. Men of five still alive through the raging glow. Gone insane from the pain that they surely know.
For Whom the Bell Tolls is the only song on the first 5 albums that sorta does not have a solo. Like, you could count the weird shit Kirk is doing in the outro as a solo. But for me, this is more like random lead fills. And for me, the song does not require a long epic solo. It works much better without one.